This is not a test. Don't expect to be impressed. Put on your life vest. Sit down your armrest. It's time to stray from the grind. Don't take my hand, 'cause you'll find no peace of mind. Side quest.
Hi there, and welcome to Side Quest. And on this week's Side Quest, aliens. Are they coming? Are they already among us? Is it too late? Who are the balloon people? What do they want? Is it terrible? It's probably terrible. You should be afraid. But before we get to that, something more important. The ongoing Wizards of the Coast Dungeons & Dragons OGL crisis. What does it mean? Are they among us? Are you doomed? Probably yes. And do we have with us today riotous regulars Robert Bevan, Judy Black, Joseph Brassey. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, friends.
And I am, I guess, the stewardess of this side quest, Steve Wetherill. So, we've already done a side quest on the OGL, but it is the biggest thing to infuriate the Dungeons and Dragons community for quite some time. And everyone likes a good, infuriating flashpoint. It breaks up history, I think. So it's kind of ongoing. Judy, you're kind of our expert on this. Is it better?
Yeah. So, Wizards backed everything after they blew up everything and pissed off pretty much every Dungeons and Dragons player, which is a really impressive feat, honestly, because there is a wide range of people who play Dungeons and Dragons that have very little in common, and they managed to piss off all of them. So, like, truly an impressive feat.
When you just throw up two middle fingers at everybody, that's the standard reaction.
So what you're saying, on the plus side, unity is a good thing.
Maybe. I mean, I'll be curious to see what comes out of it with the other systems that are going to be developed and thrown into a commons usage as well. Because, I mean, we got Pathfinder out of the last time WotC pulled this shit, so, you know.
Wait, last time they pulled this shit, like, was that pulling shit last time?
The last time something like this happened was when they released 4th edition, and
4th edition was under a different gaming license that was really restrictive and draconic, and so a lot of players did not like that, and so they did the original with 3.5 and did Pathfinder through that.
A lot of players didn't like 4th edition either.
Yeah, no, 4th edition was not a high point for them. But yeah, so the last time
suck.
So yeah, the last time they messed with the OGL, we got Pathfinder. So I'll be curious to see what we get this time.
Yeah, Kobold is developing their own system. So
yeah, that was like 2008, 2009-ish that happened.
That one.
Yeah, I'll jump in with an unpopular opinion here, because I've been looking at all these YouTube videos, and they're all the same. It's, how could Wizards do this to us? How could they commit this egregious breach of trust and blah blah blah, and I'll never play D&D again. You should go buy all these other systems books to show them who's boss or whatever. But
Robert Bevan exclusive tonight. Maybe evil good.
Yeah, but I'm thinking
carry on.
Like, all right, so they tried to pull something dirty. No doubt there. They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar or whatever. They and there was a backlash bigger than I think anyone was expecting. And they rubbed their bare bottoms, and
is that a saying?
All right, more importantly than rubbing,
no one's denying that they smeared honey into their genitals.
All right, well, what I'm saying is, their reaction, they had the initial like shitty reaction first, but more backlash, and then All right, yeah, speaking of their bare bottoms, they eventually bent
some
over
reason.
and bent over and spread their cheeks. They completely capitulated.
What the fuck is this analogy?
Well, this is a different analogy. It just also has to do with asses.
Speaking of bare bottoms.
Damn it.
Oh my word.
I'm saying, what more do people want?
No, I agree. It's
I
total
like
capitulation.
I like where we are right now with Wizards of the Coast. They are our bitch now, and that's a relationship I can get behind.
Yeah, they've gone from total dom to complete sub. I mean, if you're into switches, this is a great thing. It's probably very exciting.
I mean, we have a company now that realizes, our actions have consequences. We don't want to piss off the fans, and I'm fine with that.
I guess we're way more mobilized and coordinated than the fourth edition days. I say we. I'm not involved. I'm not doing anything.
Well, I mean, like, social media has come a long way, and that
Hmm.
honestly did do a huge amount to spread information as well as encouraging unified action. So a lot of people canceled, like, D&D Beyond subscriptions.
I thought you were going to spread information as well as butt cheeks.
No.
They bent over and they spread the ass of information.
Spread.
You've just right up top. You've put us in a channel where we're now forced to use weird ass analogies for everything. We're just in that crevice now.
Oh, God.
I'm reasonably proud of that one. Yeah, I mean, it did strike me as like I said, I'm not particularly known for paying attention for things, but as a
I'm not either, but I couldn't get away from it. It's every video on YouTube right now.
Yeah, but I'm really good at ignoring people. But yeah, it struck me as kind of like it's definitely a fuck up move that they hoped no one would notice. It's like they hoped, maybe we could just slide this one by them, but that didn't work. But
No.
it strikes me, why would they do that? I mean, D&D has never been more popular and more mainstream, right? Since the 80s when Satan was involved, and therefore it was much cooler. But yeah, it just struck me as kind of a weird move. But I guess you see kind of many sort of industries and companies are using the Amazon model, where they kind of expand a lot without leaving much of a margin for error. Just like all growth. And then when economic circumstances change.
I think it is a business thing. They are a business, and I think any business will do as much as it thinks it can get away with.
Yeah, but they must have thought.
In this case, they were wrong.
This will bring in more money, but it will piss everyone off. They must have realized
but they weren't expecting it to get out.
I don't think the people who make that decision.
Originally, they were going to drop it and give the entire industry 7 days to respond.
Yeah, and then people who got the contract early leaked it.
That seems to me like a kind of like, holy shit, we need some money. There's a lot of money out there that we're not getting, and we fucking need it. Move.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hasbro's had meetings where they've said directly that the Dungeons and Dragons brand is under-monetized.
Yeah.
So
it's like, yeah, there's unrealized income there, but it's all like channeling towards their income. Don't know why you would fuck with that.
No, well, because they did something stupid and they got called out on it. That's
I'm trying to build a layer of intrigue and conspiracy here, Bevan.
All right. Well, I'm going to help you because I want to. People are looking.
I want you to spread the butt cheeks of intrigue.
I'm about to spread some butt cheeks.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Because I'm thinking, Paizo, Kobold Press, all these places, people are saying you should go. Like they're bastions of goodness and integrity. If they thought they could get away with it, I think they would slit their own grandmother's throats for a nickel too.
I mean, to a certain extent, businesses are going to business. Like that's
business going to business. That's true.
Yeah, one of the things that I have heard is that a thing that has led to this, under monetization thing was an executive a couple of years ago a shareholder at Hasbro discovered the percentages of Hasbro's profits that came from D&D were way higher. Like I don't know if it was revenues or profits, but it was something like in the 70% range was coming from D&D stuff. And so that shareholder tried to essentially run a campaign with the other shareholders to spin Wizards of the Coast off as its own company, because Hasbro was not the idea being that basically Hasbro doesn't need to manage this, it can function on its own. And Hasbro panicked and has been trying to get as much of that extra money as they can in order to essentially fend off a shareholder rebellion.
Panic does explain it. It's not quite the dark sort of the firm conspiracy I was looking for. A bunch of people fucking panicked, but it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
You know, because of all this, I actually bought a couple shares of Hasbro.
Nice. Yeah. But I mean, the people who make the decisions are not the ones who actually are familiar with the Dungeons and Dragons market.
Yeah.
I think they must know it's a prestige product for like very passionate people with.
They know it's a bunch
time
of
to put into
nerds
it.
buying
Yeah.
big books.
Well, that's not
Yeah.
how I phrased it, but yeah. That gets to the nub of things. That's true. That really spreads the cheeks of what D&D is about. I did make this decision, right? This is just where we are.
I did. I will take full responsibility. That's why this is the video people should be watching.
This is
Yeah.
the only real commentary you need.
None of the other videos I've seen had so many ass references.
No, I mean, we've really kind of like got the ratio going on. I'm proud of it.
I don't know if proud is the word I would use.
That's a word.
That is.
So we've gone from one panic reaction, which completely destroyed their credibility, to another panic reaction where they have just basically said "hurt me, daddy" to the fans. So is that it all wrapped up now, or
Absolutely
is
not.
vengeance
That's
still to
why
be had?
That's why I had my piece to say today. It should be wrapped up. This is where we want, our gaming company to be. But I don't know what the rest of these people want.
I think it's a yes.
Drama.
People got what they
Yeah.
wanted, but it also is that this almost did happen. And what's to say it's not going to in a year when they start and launch their virtual tabletop system, and suddenly Roll20 doesn't integrate with D&D Beyond, and that just happens. So I think people are suspicious of them and still angry at this almost happening as well.
What happens then? Well, you just got a taste of what happens then, Wizards. So
yeah,
spread the cheeks.
I think that it's true that like the other issue is that trust once lost is extremely difficult to restore. So they're going to have to earn that back.
Yeah, well, because like I know a lot of the indie creators and small creators like me, like we're all focusing on learning other systems now, so that we can work in multiple systems, because we can't trust that D&D isn't going to do this sort of thing again when one D&D launches.
Well, that's probably a wise thing to do anyway.
Oh yeah. Though it is weird with like the virtual tabletop discussions that keep coming up, because the original OGL draft that they released had a lot to say about virtual tabletops. But DM's Guild, which works directly with Dungeons and Dragons, has just started a relationship with Roll20 to be able to share items directly from one platform to the other. So that's kind of a weird thing if Wizards is doing their own virtual tabletop, that they wouldn't be doing that with their own third-party seller.
Yeah, it is odd.
Yeah, I've been reading those emails and just kind of thinking that's a little strange of this choice, but okay. So I don't know what they're going to do, but yeah, it's for me, it's a matter of a loss of trust in the company to not make stupid ass decisions.
Yeah.
See, I trust them more now because they've reached into the fire and gotten their hands burned.
Fair enough. They did. They did get burned.
I think they can be trusted not to try it again for at least a few years. I will be more concerned, or I will be warier of it when a new CEO takes over, or someone, if there's a leadership change and whoever is there does not have an intimate personal memory of what happened this time. That's when I think that's probably when you're at his greatest risk of them trying something like this again.
I'm going to just skip over intimate personal memory. It's too easy, and we're just going to move on. But yeah, I agree with Joe and Abby. I mean, yeah, this has got to be visceral. It was a hell of a clapback. That was again, I'm going to skip clapback as well. It's just too...
They got spanked.
Yeah, it's it did seem to be like such an obvious, this is going to make everybody angry move. And I do think you occasionally get a bunch of shareholders who just maybe do not understand what they're dealing with. They've said, like, this is profitable. I know what hobbits are. And that's about it.
I've watched Lord of the Rings once.
Yeah. So, I saw that on a lunchbox, right? Like the cartoon, yeah? The cartoon.
This is that Ralph Baskey game.
Like, yeah, I got some money I can fuck with Satan. Sure, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever. But
everyone's got huge noses and sings songs.
It was a monstrous, immediate, and unanimous clapback. I mean, I don't think...
And deserved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
And then the just silence for a whole week until, like, the most tone-deaf statement they could have possibly released the first time. It was just like, oh, wow, y'all really don't know what you're doing. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, no. I don't even notice. Now we have to talk to the plebs.
What was very funny is
Quick, what do poor people value?
The day 2, maybe, of the whole blow up, there was a job posting for an emergency communicator posted in several of the Discords.
Wanted human shield.
Yeah, and I was like, "Ooh, boy, you."
I would have taken that job.
Professional third handler.
Yeah, poor Kyle got that job. Poor Kyle Brink.
I would have taken a job just for the sheer emotional experience of being that person. It's got to be the ultimate thrill, right?
I don't know if that's it.
Must be the physiological equivalent of smoking 1,000 cigarettes at once.
No. I've had internet mom yell at me before, and I not like repeat that experience.
Not a fun thing. Not a fun thing.
Yeah, the internet do like its mobs.
They sure do. I do feel very bad for the social media managers for all of the Dungeons and Dragons brands and the D&D Beyond brands, because boy, they had a really bad couple of weeks.
Judy, if you just stopped there, I feel really bad for the social media. I would have agreed with you anyway. But yeah, that makes sense too. So, as people more kind of invested and in the know, which I say far too often on this podcast than what's it going to take for Dungeons and Dragons to regain your trust?
I mean, really, primarily time.
I'm there.
That's
just a bit. Bevan's just immediately there.
I have my reasons. I told you. I've laid this out.
Hey, they bent over. That's good enough for me.
With any big company, like, the truth of the matter is that the incentive structures, when you get to like billions of dollars being made, is just the incentives are to act shitty. And that's just a part of being a big company. So I think it's always good to be like, okay, like my attitude towards it is, I trust you to act in what you feel is the self-interest of your business. And ideally, the community will respond accordingly, and you'll have, like, the ideal relationship between company and fan is that when the fans are upset, the company listens. Like, we seem to be at that equilibrium right now. So I wouldn't say that I like trust exactly. That doesn't seem like the right term for a big multinational corporation. But
expect,
I
I
have,
suppose.
I accept and have a
I'm
good
confident
understanding.
we have their ear.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. I'm confident that we have their ear, and at least until there's a big leadership change, I don't think they'll try something like this again. It just doesn't seem likely to me.
I mean, the whole kind of media thing of no press is bad press, and like, well, let's stir up a little controversy. I think this is like the exact sort of opposite of that
Yeah.
working out.
Well, yeah, no press is no press is bad press is like, trying to get more eyes on the brand. This all eyes that they got were already there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just everybody who was already a customer just went, "This is terrible."
Yeah, everyone.
And everybody who wasn't a customer is like, "I don't understand what's going on."
Oh
Mm.
my god.
No press is no press is bad press, but shitting yourself publicly in a press juncture is not good press.
I don't know, mate. Thinking the next presidential election, that's going to be my run.
Oh,
I don't want to think about it. Oh god, no.
Yeah.
Time I think will help. I still completely don't trust them because from what I have seen and the rumblings that I hear from other people, there is a massive shift in Dungeons and Dragons to push it as like a Marvel-esque brand.
Lifestyle brand.
Ugh.
With this movie and TV shows and
Yeah.
various expansions outward. And so I am curious about what they're going to do.
See, I think even the Marvel brand is starting to regret the Marvel brand now.
Oh god, I'm so sick and tired of superhero movies.
I don't give a shit.
I have
really
been since the
fucking love it,
beginning.
and it's killed it for me. Yeah, and there's no surprise there.
To an extent, like one of the things they're doing, which is kind of shitty, is apparently they want Dungeons and Dragons to be a lifestyle brand, which means and what happens when a product becomes a lifestyle brand is the people who actually buy and use the product are no longer the target audience. The target audience is basically everyone who is casually consuming all of the associated merch.
Yeah.
It's all the
So it's
people who watch Stranger Things and then wear the Eddie Hellfire Club shirt and that sort of thing. Not that there is anything wrong with like just
No,
liking
there's nothing
Stranger
wrong with it.
Things
There's
and
nothing wrong with
being a
it, but I
casual
guess
fan, but yeah, when they
D&D particular is not about casual consumption. It's
no, D&D is full like gelatinous cube consumption style
yeah,
of
it's
you.
like saying, just casual meth. That's not how it works. It's a fucking commitment.
I know, I'm like looking at my bookshelves that I'm surrounded by, like 80% of them are D&D or D&D related books right now that I can see.
There was something I said to a writer once. A writer who shall remain anonymous, who used to write for Cracked.com. And it was the time when Cracked was going in a vastly different direction. And he said the mistake they've made is they've gone for viewership over readership. Because one of them will just click and just consume surface level what's there. The other one, the reader, will be there every day, kind of reading whatever's happening, and is, the person who buys the magazine rather than browsing the cover.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that is I think you're exactly right, Brassy, in that it is trying to become a lifestyle brand where you wear the merchandise of the show or that, which maybe may not be a bad thing. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, how does that relate to what this? Because I've heard another criticism is that Hasbro should be reaching out trying to draw in new players, but instead it seems like they're just trying to squeeze as much blood out of the players they've got. How does that relate to what you're saying?
Basically,
with the lifestyle brand thing.
The concern is when it's a question of functionally, like, sorry, I'm babbling here. Basically,
what we
when
do,
your
man.
brand becomes a lifestyle brand, the core product becomes the core product, and the core product's consumers cease to be really important. It's like how Marvel movies don't really give a shit if they pull in like hardcore comic book fans. Not because there's like there's wrong with that. It's just that's not their target audience anymore. Their target audience is the bigger is the bigger thing. So the core product kind of gets increasingly can become increasingly neglected, and the company stops prioritizing the people that are consuming the core product. And like whether or not that's a bad thing is totally a perception thing. It's like it depends on where where you're sitting and what your interest is. But for me, it's like it's less of a this is horrible or this is good. It's more of a this is just kind of a thing this is sort of the direction they're going. And
Mm.
if it's something that upsets you, then it is probably very upsetting. And it's not the
I suppose in these circumstances, what happens is when something does hit the trend wave and a lot of casuals get involved, it's like, yeah, it's a big money opportunity. We can sell a lot of t-shirts here. We can sell a lot of surface level elements of the experience. If you do that at the extent of the hardcore, which keeps it afloat, when that trend shifts, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because the surface level people aren't going to sustain.
Yeah, if the focus becomes on TV shows and movies and, t-shirts and cute little tchotchkes people can pick up and things, then the books may start to suffer. The actual game itself no longer becomes the core focus of the company.
Right.
And that changes what it is all about. And it isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. It's similar to a Marvel movie. Someone going and seeing the Spider-Man movie is probably not going to walk to the comic book shop and buy every Spider-Man comic they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
Similar to the Dungeons and Dragons movie, I don't foresee a whole lot of people leaving that movie and going and
buying a Dungeons and Dragons set.
getting a group
Not the
together
same,
and
yeah.
starting to play. So it's a different.
Yeah. As a kid, I didn't watch Hawk the Slayer and go, oh man, I really need a board game of this.
What?
And I guess this is the thing about Dungeons and Dragons is when you get right down to it, the vibe they've got, I guess they sort of consolidated it, but it's not theirs. It's like every fantasy author that's been ripping off Tolkien since Tolkien happened. It's like Dungeons and Dragons don't really own that. They don't even own the mechanics, I guess, of the game because that's not copyrightable, right?
Yeah, they own the
So
expression.
anyone could say like, this is Woman the Barbarian, and here's the mechanics which are very similar to.
Yeah, he rolls for muscle.
Yeah. Very similar to mechanics you may be familiar with from underground stone rooms and large flying lizards. But this is Woman the Barbarian, and he's basically like every other fucking derivative fantasy product you've got. And I love derivative fantasy products. I will watch an elf and a dwarf argue all day. And if somebody wants to build a board game around that, that's great. So when Dungeons & Dragons is like, yeah, we're a lifestyle brand, it's like, no, you just consolidate a load of derivative fantasy stuff, which anyone can do, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you don't own orcs and goblins. And frankly, and I've said this before, and I'm not afraid to go on record, everything else is bullshit. I want orcs and goblins, and that's about it. You can have dragons in there, I guess, but if there ain't goblins, then you're doing something wrong.
Doesn't count.
Putting in for a game named Underground Stone Rooms and Flying Lizards.
I was just thinking that would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be a fun
There's
game.
literally, I think, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if I told you that, but I think we could 100% get away with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's lizards and liches.
Oh my god, that's great.
So yeah, there's tons of people who poke fun at that. But yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And just because I have personally dealt with the whole fake fan thing before, people who enjoy it for the movies or the TV shows or whatever are not necessarily fake fans. They're different types of fans.
Yeah.
So I want to just make sure that I say that so people don't get the wrong idea, because I have 1,000% walked into a place with a D&D shirt on and been quizzed immediately about if I knew what that was and how to play, and and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stab you in the fucking face. So
No. however you want to consume your media is fine, and there's no such thing.
Yeah.
Ironically, roll to stab you in the face is like a perfect response, I guess, to that. So.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite class is Rogue. Let me show you. So
just steal their wallet and run away. Yeah,
I
like
mean, I have lock
fucking
picks.
live it, man.
I keep
Yeah.
my lock picks on me at all times, so if they want a live demonstration, I can pick a lock for somebody.
And
Doesn't
while
really
you're
help
picking a lock,
show
I can steal their wallet.
you get their
and-
wallet. The true rogue bard duo.
There you go.
But yeah, there are different ways to enjoy things. It just is a different fan base that may mean the original fans are
It's
no
fine, but
longer
for me, this
doing
is what separates this from like me seeing a 15-year-old boy wearing a Pixies t-shirt and saying, "You don't know, you weren't there." But this is like it's like somebody's wearing a Dungeons & Dragons. It might just be because they remember the cartoon, or it might just be because they saw the excellent 2000 movie with Jeremy Irons, which I'm sure is very
Yeah.
memorable, and there must be a t-shirt of it somewhere. And
Their
now that I
mom
think
might
about
have
it, I'm
gotten
gonna
the shirt at
find that
Goodwill.
t-shirt. Yeah.
Have we done the 2000 early 2000s Dungeons and Dragons movie as a at the
We
movie?
have. It was one of our first at the movies. It was
Yes,
glorious.
I think it might have been our first, and I had
Yeah.
to miss it because my son tripped in a hole and hyperextended his elbow.
I had to miss that one too, which is a shame.
Well, now we're gonna have to
You've
redo
never
it.
forgiven him.
No, I haven't.
We should redo it, actually. It was that much of a odd misstep, and Jeremy Irons was that much of an absolute madman that we could probably do it again. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I'm so curious what this new movie is gonna be like.
I'm excited about it.
I'm
It
so
looks like it'll be
curious.
entertaining.
It's possible to like things too much. It's like
Yes.
it's a movie. They're not just gonna film your D&D experience unless you're as charming as we are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that it's a good movie.
Yeah,
That
me too.
looks fun.
It looks like it's got a good.
It looked like it'd be
cast.
fine.
It's got a-
I have a secret hope that they will just have one character who continuously dies off and the same actor keeps showing up wearing like a different hat as a "Hi, I'm Joe's brother," or, just because I think it would be very funny, or continuously like shopkeep NPC that shows up in every single town with the same ridiculous accent, because I just think it would be funny and a cute little emulation of the in-person experience, but I don't see it happening. It's just my tiny little secret hope.
Speaking of the man with the ridiculous accent, I agree. I hope that happens. Yeah, no, my hope is that in the movie, they just every time they do something cool, like a major attack, they spend about 30 seconds beforehand going, let me see now, where's that?
I look at the sheet.
Where's that? Where's the,
Oh my God.
oh, yeah. And then they just do something cool, and then the whole combat is like that. That'd be enormously frustrating and cinematic, but absolutely true to D&D experience.
Yeah, it's like me and Gigi. It's 20 minutes of me trying to read what the frickin' spell does. I'd forgotten the horrors of spellcasters.
Oh, I would love that. You should do that for all fantasy films. Like, you shall not pass. Well, you might. Let me just.
Oh, hold on. I gotta see. Hold on. Is this a
If I-
concentration spell? Shit, I
If
can't
I
have
take
two
yeah.
concentration.
5 foot step to disengage, then I could pass, and you don't
I-
get an attack
I-
of opportunity.
I don't think you're able to pass.
Yeah, I can use a cantrip as a bonus action. Let me check which cantrips I have, because I can't cast a spell, 2 spells in one. Yeah.
But again, I do think that highlights the difference between D&D, the people who like dragons and people with swords remembering the cartoon, which is absolutely fine, and D&D, the actual board game experience. I never really. I love video games of that sort of thing, and I love the turn-based video games, but I never had the urge to play the board game, even though I absolutely loved everything fantasy growing up. So I don't know if they're saying like, oh, panic, we need to pivot to a lifestyle brand. And while we're doing it, We need to shit on every single customer. It's like there's an obvious there's a point where that plan goes wrong. That's probably inherent in the way I phrased it. But
Yeah. I still can't believe the whole Stranger Things where they haven't released an upside down world source book. They haven't released any specific, like there's been one very brief Stranger Things specific box that was out. But I'm always just like, do you just not like money?
it might just be because they're like, we make television about nostalgia and we don't give a shit.
Because in Stranger Things version of D&D's, roll above a 16 and you win D&D.
Yeah. I saw the montage they did. It was all like, let's take the 0.5% of D&D that is like exciting to watch and make a montage out of that. It's like, and I understand why.
That would be a lifestyle brand core audience crossover they could do, because random Stranger Things fan who have no interest in playing would buy that.
They should have just done a like D&D fucking party game edition.
Yeah, like I every time I see Stranger Things and D&D t-shirts and things, I'm like, how is there not a Vecna source book and the upside down source book? Like, how have you what?
You're right, it's money on the ground, but
Yeah.
is it Netflix Primo special money on the ground? These people are already making a lot of money.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
Dungeons and Dragons apparently isn't making enough,
Yeah.
so
well, maybe that's what the shareholders think is like. Hang on, these fucking nerds are on prime time. Where's my Netflix special money? Which is a reasonable assumption for somebody who knows shit all about D&D, but a lot about where's my money.
I'm sure that they have an agreement with Stranger Things and Netflix to be using terms by name, because like Vecna and that stuff, those aren't in the OGL. That's not something that's open license that you can just like have for freezies.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's some kind of an agreement between the two. So I don't know if maybe that is what's tied up doing a D&D Stranger Things sort of book release, but it just seems silly because it's money on the table for both of them. But
yeah,
I just write. What do I know?
Same.
well, a lot more about the topic than the rest of us, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
don't say that. We're kind of relying on you here. Yeah, I mean, again, as a guy who's not, as somebody who's been I fucking love fantasy, but I don't want to play your dice game. It looks really slow and boring. Guy, I sort of understand maybe the let's pivot towards trying to own the derivative fantasy experience.
Yeah,
But-
well, and I mean, there are some really cool epic stories in D&D lore that do lend themselves to these kinds of things. So I think that they could maybe do both. I don't know that they could do both well. But I think as long as this OGL stuff stays in place, that the fans will take care of their own and continue to produce awesome third-party content.
Yeah.
And that we don't necessarily need WotC to keep doing that.
That, to me, would have been the first thing they should have realized. Let's charge these creative nerds who are enriching the experience, but we're not profiting from it. It's like, those are creative people. They can call an orc a bork. It's fine. They'll come up with that. I realize that orcs are kind of like anyone can use orcs. They can they can call a beholder an eyeball beast. And, there's fuck all you can do about it.
You're veering into the Swedish version of D&D with
A Bjork. You've been attacked by a Bjork. Roll above a 12 to deflect sonic damage, I guess, or paparazzi assault. I don't know. She's got 2 attacks, basically.
Oh, yeah. I will be very both curious and cringing at the D&D Twitter and YouTube takes on the D&D movie, where they're like, real DM reviews Dungeons and Dragons movie. I've already seen it up for the trailer, and I'm just like, let people have fun. You sound like Killjoy DMs. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. They just say like real filmmaker and storyteller reviews your
Yeah.
D&D game.
Yeah.
And Steven
That's just
Spielberg just comes round to your house and watches you and just shakes his head. No.
Oh
Steven
yeah.
Spielberg just there shaking his head at you.
No.
Shame.
But yeah, it's it's WotC's game to lose at this point. They fixed their problem, they listened, and
Spread the cheeks.
now it's to wait and see if they fuck up again. But yeah, trust takes time to rebuild, and they borked it. So
I bet you now they're kind of like thinking, man, we really should have went after all the monetization we created with this YouTube drama. There's some shareholder who has definitely not learned their lesson from this at all.
Oh yeah, and I bet they are hunting hard for the creator that leaked it. I bet you they are hunting hard.
One of them sitting there going, how can we monetize people bitching about this? There's real money in people bitching about this.
I've heard that. Like I've known some people. I have known a number of people who worked or work for WotC, and the rumors that were trickling out were that basically there was execs on the warpath after it leaked. There was
kudos to that creator.
Yeah.
Well, there's a D&D movie for you. I'd like to see a documentary about whoever that person is.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I know, right?
I'd watch
It had
that.
to have been a pretty big name person to have gotten the early contract. So curious.
A little 6-part docuseries for
Yeah.
Netflix. Dramatization.
Make it like The Firm.
Yeah.
It'll probably be on like Tubi. It'll be on one of the like weird networks. It's not going to be on Netflix.
No, I say go big budget, like get Jesse Eisenberg as the lead.
He can play Kyle Brink.
Yeah. Fucking make this big. That's the secret of documentaries. It doesn't actually have to be that interesting. You just have to be a very good documentary maker. Remember that the next time you watch a Netflix documentary and think, it's been 9 hours and I've learned fuck all.
Yeah, if you do want to actually hear from good old Kyle Brink, who signed all the D&D Beyond postings that weren't garbage, he sat down and did an interview with a D&D YouTuber named Jenny D. It is very interesting.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Jenny D. You know what? I'm going to skip that as well. But, yeah. On the Brink. The Kyle Brink story. Coming soon to Netflix.
I like it. That's an A+ name.
Somebody should give me a fucking job. I'm skeezy as fuck. But, you know what? We got a lot more on this. I thought we were just going to... I thought we were going to check in on this and Julia's going to be like, nope, still fucked. We're like, moving on. Aliens. Who are the balloon people? We have not talked about the balloon people nearly as much as I hoped we would. But we have had a fascinating insight into the corporate world of a game which, you know what, any 8-year-old with an imagination can play without having to give money to an executive. So...
Yeah, I mean, the kids playing Warrior Cats in the middle school playground are basically playing a D&D version without dice, so... What? Warrior Cats is a middle school classic!
Oh, yeah.
That is how we would have played Warrior Cats in the 80s. It would have just been like, there's a bunch of cats in this fucking alleyway, let's go fight them. That's why tetanus was such a big thing back then.
Everyone's throwing cats at each other.
Yeah, you know, cats are the world's worst tetanus carrier. We all know it.
Well, not if they're wearing armor.
Please don't take medical advice.
They're wearing armor made out of rusty tuna cans.
Yeah, if they're wearing armor made of some beer cans I strapped to them, then yes. How else do you expect to win Warrior Cats?
See, like that's the thing, like today they call it warrior cats. Back then they called it dogfighting.
I believe these days the kids call it Pokemon. I don't know. I know we took a big head to a cat and swung him at the neighbor kid. Where's my fucking executive board? We need to monetize this animal abuse. That's how Pokemon started. But that is a conspiracy theory for another time, which I will definitely deep dive into.
Quote of the night: we need to monetize this animal abuse.
Well, I do feel like I know a lot more about the OGL now, and that's from me having listened to the last episode, which it was a bit raw. Yeah, it was a bit. That was before they had fully spread their cheeks, so I understand. Yeah, I mean, if our listeners are anything like me, they fucking hate learning stuff. So I'm glad we were, a little bit more loosey goosey with it today. But again, no aliens. Sorry, listeners. If this this episode was titled "We're gonna talk the shit out of some aliens today," then then sorry to let you down there. But please do join us for the next side quest where we'll let you down about something different. That's what we do.
Well, I mean, we damn well better talk about aliens, yeah. We gotta spread the cheeks.
Gotta spread those cheeks.
I mean, the eternal question with extraterrestrial life is, can we fuck it?
Absolutely no. That's the one thing I'm hoping for is like, at this point in evolution, we need a new orifice. I mean, I'm not complaining about the orifices we've got. We've got some pretty fucking great orifices, but we need like a new option by now, surely.
Back of the head.
All this, back, not just a location, but back of the head's a good one. I mean, that opens up possibilities.
Oh my god!
All this and more on the next side quest, maybe.
Next side quest, we apparently talk about skull fucking.
Double skull fucking, Jeff. But
I've sold that hentai.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really curious. The aliens land, and we're like, "What you got?" I mean, if you've seen our library, you better have something pretty fucking special, mate. Or you can fuck off back to Nebula 6 or whatever.
Oh boy.
But yeah, again, another side quest, and if you're here, you probably regular watch our main games, but maybe you've just stumbled on this because you were looking for new orifices. Maybe not. But yeah, you can join us next week for a main game where we once again continue our ridiculous adventure. Or, you can just skip that and go to the next side quest. I don't care what you do as long as you check it in on me.
And in August, you can come and see us in person in Portland.
Oh, we should absolutely promote things like that, yes.
We absolutely should.
D&D Con 2023, Portland, Oregon. It's going to be a good time. We'll sign some books. We'll have some laughs. It'll be good.
Spread some cheeks.
Be great fun.
No.
Definitely. For legal reasons, that won't be happening.
No.
For legal reasons, we're being extremely metaphorical. Oh my god. Well, yeah, I think we've nicely covered the whole OGL fiasco there. So
we did something.
Yeah,
we sadly did something.
We covered.
That's all we can hope for on the side quest. Something happened.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Tune in next time where something will happen again. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, friends.
Bye.